We need to develop a retrofit industry for this, and this is a perfect place where we need to ask for assistance from our government to help grease the skids to that and help first enable the consumers to do this investment at a time when they are dragged by the gasoline price anyway and the ongoing problems in the economy, and ask for a contribution from the, wait a second, one more point I want to make. I'm not asking for a handout, I'm asking for a redeployment of tax revenue. Make it more expensive to use gasoline in powerboats, planes, low mileage vehicles, and shift the money over to make people, allow people to enter the retrofitted universe and use much cheaper, much more friendly to the security and the well-being of the country electric vehicles. Two-pronged. I would put the requirement that it becomes revenue neutral so far. In addition to that, I want to go to our host and be as ungrateful as I can be for this lunch. There is no free lunch. The cost of this lunch is we need to help change consumer behavior by providing the mileage of these cars for 1 year, 2 years, whatever we feel is feasible, free. Remember, it's not very expensive to the utilities. The infrastructure, unused, is sleeping there. You just take a little bit of relatively inexpensive coal, burn it, and give it away to the consumers, even as time goes on, intelligence that will allow you to charge later is being put in place. That's not enough. I would like to ask the government to create a special federal court district, patterned a little bit after the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit that has been created to deal with patent litigation in a more expeditious form, and give them the task to take care of intellectual property that inevitably flourishes when a problem is being solved, and like Hydra grabs the participants' ankles, and pretty soon the whole game becomes an intellectual property fight. Give an efficient and knowledgeable means of disposing of these disputes, keeping the public interest in mind. I would also, at the same time, would like to ask the automotive manufacturers to look toward the open source movement and adopt its principles to specifications, so the batteries and control systems, at least at the interface level, can be standardized, and also commit not to use withholding of warranties as a tool to slow down something that undoubtedly some portion of them will regard as a business challenge. We need money. There's an awful lot of talk about green tech around here. No green tech is as green as this tech. I would like to see the venture capital community participate in introducing what they know, what they're supposed to know well, the merits of intelligent risk-taking into an industry that has been less risk-taking than some. And I would like the SB to fuel the growth of the delivery infrastructure once it's established by venture money. Most importantly, second to most importantly, I would impose the requirement that this task force creates an atmosphere here where the individual members don't lobby the US government for their stovepipe interests. All the discussions and arguments take place in the conference room, hammered out, and the industry task force, as an industry, goes and asks these things of the US government. Much to learn from the Japanese, who have done this much more effectively in the industry dealing with the government than we have, but there's also room for continuous improvement in our business practices. Rebuilding the commons requires difficult work, and most difficult of them all is to develop a cooperative problem-solving attitude that somehow happened in the internet universe. Those were easier years, better years. I was younger too. But maybe we can do that if we recall the environment, if we're old enough for that, what it was like when we faced war in this country. We did not have the automobile manufacturers run to the White House to offer to convert their factories to produce airplanes below cost. We did not have a labor force grow out of nothing to replace the male workers from this industry who were fighting a war in the 2 continents away. Women joined the workforce in a very aggressive fashion for the first time in large numbers and changed labor policy forever as a result. But on the way, the government, the car companies, the soldiers, and the women won World War II, which is why we are here and talk about it. My feeling is that we are facing a clear present danger similar to what that generation faced, and the magnitudes and the lessons of oil even were present in that generation. And I have to end on by recalling a very important battle of World War II, the Battle of Stalingrad. Early years of the war, the German army was heading to occupy Moscow. No country has occupied the capital of Russia ever, and it was a very major aim of the Third Reich of Hitler to be the first to do that. In the middle of winter, they peeled off a substantial portion of their military forces and sent them south to a nondescript city on the Volga called Stalingrad. And the Russians threw everything they had at defense and surrounded and defeated the German attack. 1.5 million people died in that battle, making it arguably the most expensive in terms of casualty battle in recorded history. This is known, less documented and less obvious, but as you think about it and dig a little bit, it's very clearly obvious what that battle was about, why it was so important to forget Moscow and make those casualties. That thrust was for access to the oil field near Baku. There is that famous saying or cliche that those who don't remember history are destined to relive it. There is the new movie that, slightly paraphrased, gives me my last slide. It is up to us to rebuild the common and make that not be so. Thank you very much.